financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is a little bit different than what we normally do. We're going to talk about you have the right to remain silent. We're going to talk about domestic violence and police stops. Jenny Lingl, good morning.
Hi, Ken. Good to be here today.
Brian Small.
Always a pleasure, but I have a quick question for you. Do you have the ability to just remain silent?
More so than you. Pat Semesco, nice to see you.
Love being here.
I want to welcome the newest member to the Law and Reality team, Corey Silverstein.
Morning.
Corey is a criminal law attorney and an internet law expert. So Corey's now a member of the Law and Reality team. For our first topic, we're going to talk about domestic violence, police stops. Corey, you're the perfect person. That's why I want you here. That's why we want to talk about it. And we're going to develop other criminal law issues, getting stopped, driving while under the influence, so forth, as we go through the show. Not today, but and later shows. So, Corey, I know you're licensed in Michigan, Washington, D.C., Arizona, Georgia, New York, graduate of Purdue Law, went to University of Detroit Law School, 2006. But why are you licensed in so many states? Are you a wanderer or what?
Well, first of all, it was Purdue undergrad, not Purdue Law, but thanks.
Boilermaker.
UD Law.
I went to UD Law, Purdue undergrad. The reason why I'm licensed in so many states is actually because of the internet law in general takes me all over the country, and these particular states happen to be, frankly, states where I'm extremely active in and have to be in almost on a daily basis.
For sure we need to do a couple shows on internet law too, because that affects all of us so much. There's got to be a lot of interesting topics there. But what I want to talk about today is this is a topic that people don't know or understand until they're knee-deep in the problem, and that would be domestic violence. I would have to say I've never explored anything in the law, because I'm not a criminal lawyer, on domestic violence until maybe prepping a little bit for the show, but you hear about it all the time. And most recently, about 3 weeks back, Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' attorney, making all the news, he was charged with domestic violence, and that's playing its role out through the court system. But I thought we would tackle that topic today. And I think the best way of doing it is let's do it in a case study format. And then Corey will lead us through what's going to happen. So here's my case study clients. Bill and Mary. They're not really clients, they're just the people. They're married for 10 years. 2 daughters, 8 and 10 years old. They're suffering from financial pressures. Too much credit card debt, behind on the mortgage. They both drink a little bit more than they should. That's the background. Friday afternoon, Mary opens the mail, sees a letter from Trott Law advising her that their home is being foreclosed. She doesn't know about this. She's steaming mad. She opens up a bottle of wine, starts sipping. Meanwhile, Bill had a bad day at work. He leaves work. He stops off at the pub, has a couple of drinks before coming home. He gets home. Mary is all over his case. Things escalate. Neighbors hear loud screaming. Windows are open. Neighbors can hear it. Bill's threatening Mary with ugly words. Mary's threatening Bill with equally ugly words. Mary's scared and mad. She calls 911, tells the operator, "Help, my husband is hitting me." Police arrive, 2 cars, 10 minutes later. Corey, what happens next?
Well, in the reality of the situation, what would as soon as the police get on scene, they're going to be trained to separate the two parties, both for one, safety reasons, and two, because they want to start taking witness statements fairly quickly and they don't want the two people together. Generally speaking, you'll have two officers on scene, possibly more depending on where you are, or you might even be in a situation where there's only one officer. Regardless, the first thing that the officers are going to do is they're going to separate the parties. The officers are going to want to speak to first the victim, the caller of 911. They will take her to the side. They just as a matter of protocol, you're never going to see officers questioning victims right in front of the potential suspect, because it gives the suspect a opportunity to hear what the victim's saying and potentially, base the story off of that.
So they take Mary away. Okay, now if Mary says to him, he hit me.
Right.
He slapped me.
Yep.
What happens then?
At that point, what will happen is the officers will do one of two things. In some cases, you might have officers that are in a hurry. They might, quite frankly, be impatient, and they might just say, "Okay, we've heard enough." They'll go and they'll take the suspect. In this case, what was his name? Bill. Well, they'll take Bill into custody and charge him with whatever charges are appropriate.
I didn't touch her. I didn't touch her.
See, here's the mistake.
She's screaming at me when I got home, officer.
You're already.
I screamed back, and the next thing they know, she's dialing 911, and now she's lying and telling you that I didn't hit her.
You have already made the classic mistake that so many people make over and over and over again. Every single time that you have an individual who's faced with potential arrest, potential being accused by the police or a victim, what have you, the most human sense is to defend yourself, to immediately want to state your position, to say your side of the story.
So what should I do?
Stay quiet, calm down. Here's the problem.
That's hard.
It is hard, but here's your problem. You have to remember that the second that the officers start questioning you, first of all, one, there's a very good chance that nowadays you're being recorded. Most officers are loaded up with either audio listening device or in some cases even visual devices where the entire scene is being recorded. And so everything that comes out of your mouth when you're being questioned...
So my anger's going to show up.
Your anger's going to show, your body
my crinkled
language.
Forehead.
Wow.
My scowling face.
Are we talking about you or Bill?
I'm Bill.
Okay. Well, you start crinkled forehead. So, all right. So Bill, though...
Brian sees it every morning.
We like to,
I see.
we like to role play, Corey.
Oh, that's very normal. So
Jenny's not Mary.
I know.
Okay.
I know. So now I lost my train of thought. Thanks,
So
Ken.
what you're saying is everything I say is being recorded. So you're saying I've got to be quiet.
You always have
All
to
right.
assume that everything that you're saying is being recorded.
So she makes that accusation,
At
whether
the-
it's true or false. I'm going to get arrested.
At
Is
the
that what's going
point
to happen?
where she indicates that he in fact hit her, made some sort of contact with her, 99.9%, Bill is going to jail.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take it from there and move on.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients.
You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. So, I'm getting arrested is what you're telling me. Are they going to handcuff me?
They will. What'll end up...
Yeah. I don't like this at all. This is ridiculous. I didn't
Wait,
do
you know what?
anything.
I'm going to right now, right at this exact second. I used to do a lot of criminal law back about 100 years ago. Right at that second, the wife says, "I don't want him arrested. I don't want him arrested. Leave him here." And she starts fighting with the police to let him go.
So she says, "Don't arrest me." Am I done? Am I
You're
off
done.
the-
You're
You're
going.
done.
You're
You're
going,
done.
and the officers are going to let the prosecutors and defense attorneys and the courts sort it out.
Now,
Wait.
Corey, are they going to check the children? I know Bill and Mary have an 8 and 10-year-old. They're
Yep.
likely upset, screaming. Are they going to determine whether it's a safe place for them to stay for the night?
Well, so
or-
taking it
Don't
back.
take Dad away.
Well, so taking it back a step, the first thing that's going to happen is, of course, law enforcement is going to check the alleged victim to make sure she doesn't have any injuries that need her to be taken to the hospital. The other things that officers are going to do, very often in cases like this, they will immediately start taking pictures of the injuries. Now, at that point, of course, they'll ask the victim, you know, "Are you okay? Can you stay?" Et cetera, et cetera. If the victim is in a position where the children aren't in any sort of imminent harm, the children haven't been hurt, then at that point the officers will most certainly leave the children with them. If it's a more serious situation where perhaps there was injuries, in that case then the officers would usually give the opportunity for the victim to call a relative, call a neighbor, call someone. When that doesn't happen, and if there's no one available, then of course the situation becomes a lot more complicated and a lot, frankly.
Do they question the children?
In some cases they do, yes. If the children were witness to
see a
something,
hit.
sometimes if the children are too young, in an effort to not traumatize the children, they won't. But if you have children who, in this case, I think Ken's, your example is 8 and 10 or some sort, there's a very good chance that the officers will ask the children, "What did you hear? What did you see?" Absolutely.
So here's a question. So we've got a situation here where Mary has called the police and lied.
But maybe.
But that isn't what quite
The police
often
don't
happens.
know.
A lot of times, Mary is the
Yeah,
victim
correct.
of actual violence, or Bill is the victim of actual
Could have
violence.
been both. If
And
I
it's
didn't
right.
say Mary was lying. I said I didn't do it.
The question is if they're both in a fight with each other.
What if they both hit?
And what if Bill is the one that's got scratches on his face, but he's the one that slugged Mary? You can't
First.
see her.
Well, he slugged first. Does it
There-
matter who
what
slugged
happens
first?
in this
It
situation?
really doesn't matter who hit who first. Ultimately, the officers will have discretion to decide in the course of their investigation. If they might take them both to jail.
Can you arrest
There
them
you
both
go.
for
Absolutely, they can arrest them both. And in many cases, we've seen that. We've seen, actually, I've had cases where these domestic violence incidents between two people has actually spoiled over is probably a bad word, but boiled over into where a teenage son, for example, who comes to the race of his defense, he then strikes the father.
So he's now
Now he's
arrested.
going to jail too, and so now you've got a whole family going to jail.
What do you get charged with?
In this case, it would be depending on the circumstances. Generally, you're talking about, assuming we're not talking about any serious injuries, we're talking about a misdemeanor domestic violence charge.
And then it goes up if it's a second or third offense? Is that-
Correct. The first offense is generally a 93-day misdemeanor. A second offense goes up to a 1-year misdemeanor, and then if you have a third or subsequent offenses, it goes up to 5-year felony.
That's important though, because
So
it's
it
not
escalates big.
it's not the
Yes.
wife against the husband, it's the people against the
The
husband.
state.
That way the wife can't back out of the charges. They can force her to come and testify.
They can, and so this is another issue that we see in a lot of cases. Oftentimes, later on down the road, Pat, the victim doesn't want to cooperate
Right,
anymore.
right.
She
I'm not going to court. I love
But there's
them.
some prosecutors now that are actually taking the position that if the victims don't cooperate, they will actually then seek criminal prosecution against the victims as well. We've seen that
For-
in
False arrest?
No, failure to adhere to a subpoena for showing up for court. We've seen all sorts of...
So I got hauled off to jail. I'm Bill. Okay, whether I'm guilty or innocent, how long am I going to spend the night in jail? What's going to happen there?
You're most likely going to spend... This is another big interesting thing. This entire situation depends on what time of day it is. If this is happening at Friday at 4 o'clock in the morning...
This is Friday early evening because I just got home from work after stopping in the pub and having a couple of drinks with the boys.
It's Friday early evening. At that point, where you're going to have to wait until, depending on what district you're in, until there's a judge available, or excuse me, a magistrate available to arraign you. An arraignment would just serve the purpose of being read your formal charges.
Saturday, or can I be stuck there till Monday?
Most courts will have magistrates available on weekends, but there are some courts that don't. And yes, and you could end up being stuck in jail.
So I can't they don't just issue me a ticket and say stay away from the house for the night?
No.
I'm going to jail.
No, in a domestic violence situation, typically there will be an arrest. We have seen situations
so
where
you really
citations are
need,
issued.
if you're a spouse, either way, you need to identify quickly if you're in a situation that could escalate, and you need to exit the scene before it does. Because if you don't trust your spouse to say, if you think that you could be subject to that kind of accusation, or if you could get out of control and you're a screamer, you need to stay away from that situation, or you can find yourself in jail.
You should have called Brian before he got the letter from Trot and he could have negotiated that debt.
It's all because of the house.
It is all because of the debt.
There's a golden rule to always follow in domestic situations.
Give me that rule. We got 20 seconds before the break.
If you are a couple and you are in some sort of argument, disagreement, and either of you, even for a half a second, believe that it could potentially escalate to a situation that it becomes out of control, walk away. Doesn't matter. You can settle your dispute later. Walk away.
Walk away. We'll be back after the break.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. Want to remind our viewers, listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. Then on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 a.m. And then catch Law and Reality Here and Now on WMUZ AM 1200, Saturdays at 11 and at 2:30 p.m. and on WMUZ FM Saturdays at 11 p.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $50 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, pop your name in on the home page on the box that's there, and you're entered. We have seminars coming up on Wednesday, December 12th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. A smart present for your family, give them an estate plan. We're going to go through all the elements of an estate plan, documents you must have while you're living, documents addressing your death, how to address probate issues. And here's the point. It's holiday time. Treat your family to something that they need and put that estate plan in place. I'm not saying make that the exclusive gift to all the family members, but make it one to the family as a whole. It's a smart play. Attendees receive a $300 gold certificate off the cost of any estate plan. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Then on Wednesday, January 9th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., we have a debt relief seminar called It's Time to Eliminate the Debt. Start the new year off right. Get your financial plan in gear. Step one is get rid of the debt so you can start saving money. We're going to go through all the methods that we have to accomplish that, solutions outside of bankruptcy, solutions using bankruptcy. The question is to fit the right solution to the facts. If we can solve the debt outside of bankruptcy, that's what we do. If bankruptcy is the better option, then we lay out the options for you. Jenny Lingl is going to participate with a special segment on how to resolve tax issues. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Debt and estate planning issues with Brian, elder law issues with Pat Simasco, tax issues with Jenny, business issues with me, workers' comp and Social Security disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Just go to the site, check on the box, and we'll contact you for a free consult, or you can always call 888-235-HELP and come on in. Also, go online and get our free reports. We have a brand new report, Resolving Tax Issues, The Real Solutions, written by Jenny Lingl and myself. And then we also have How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and the Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasco Law, Jeff Kirshner Law, and law offices of Corey Silverstein. Now back to the show.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Nothing provokes panic and fear like the threat of a school shooting. Unfortunately, we've seen a sharp increase in students making copycat threats in order to gain notoriety. I'm Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith. Students, this behavior will not be tolerated. Felony charges will be brought against anyone who threatens the safety of our schools. Parents, please talk to your children and pass along this message. If you threaten our schools, it will cost you your future.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. So, I've gone to jail.
Yep.
I had to wait for a magistrate. I haven't shaved in 2 days. I'm finally in front of the magistrate. What happens? I say I'm not guilty. What about, when do I get an attorney?
Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen...
They give me an attorney?
When you're taken in front of the magistrate, at that point, the first thing the magistrate's going to do is read you the formal charges. They're required to read what the charges are against you. At that point, the magistrate will ask you, how do you plead? Most magistrates nowadays just take the position that the defendant is standing mute, and they will enter a not guilty plea on behalf of the defendant, because the magistrates even don't want...
Do I have an attorney at this point?
At this point, no. However, if you do in fact have a retained attorney, and somehow your family or you've made contact with your retained attorney, at that point, there is a very good chance your retained counsel would be
Do
there.
I get the one phone call? I've gotten arrested, okay? Do I get the opportunity? I watch TV, I watch Law and Order, okay? Do I get to call and say, I got your number in my phone, can I call you while I'm in the police car saying, Corey, I'm being falsely arrested, help me, get me out of here?
The one phone call is actually generally a myth, and if
I get two phone calls?
If you're in, you could get two phone calls.
They got a payphone on the wall.
There will be a payphone on the wall, but actually nowadays,
got a quarter?
if you're polite and you're cooperative with the officers, generally speaking, the officers will treat you well. They'll give you the opportunity to potentially make a call from your cell phone, go get a number from a cell phone if you need it. It really depends on your behavior. And this is why, again, Ken, it's so important that you've been arrested, okay, things are happening, relax. You're not going to be able to talk yourself out of it, and you're not going to be able to fight your way out of it. This isn't Rambo,
Right.
and you're not going to be able to fight your way out of the police station. It doesn't happen.
So eventually I get to call you.
Correct.
I get to call my lawyer, and then but you can't bail me out until I'm in front of the magistrate anyway.
Exactly. There's nothing that can truly be done until
so
the
I've
magistrate
pled
is
not
next.
guilty in front of the magistrate.
Yep.
What happens next? We have 3 minutes left. how does this thing get disposed? What are my defenses? I didn't do it as my defense. What are my defenses?
Wait, one thing on that. When you get out, you can't go back to the house. They have a no contact order.
Well, that's going to be at the arraignment.
Deal.
One of the biggest deals is again going to be this issue of no contact orders. Typically speaking,
great. So now I can't go. So I got nowhere to go.
Now you got 2 houses you have to pay for.
Generally speaking, they will let you go with your clothes, but it'll be with a police officer and it'll be at a different time that's actually scheduled and set up. But here's the issue.
Do I get to see my kids?
In some cases, no, and this is where, again, things get very complicated. The no contact order is one of the most combated things in domestic violence cases, because in the example that you gave, here we have a married couple with 2 kids, and now, most definitely, the father's going to be in a position where there's going to be a no contact order between him and the wife. How is he supposed to be a dad? These are issues why I always encourage clients that if you're in this situation, get a hold of a lawyer before the arraignment, because at the actual arraignment, this is where your bond argument is going to take place. And one of the issues included in the bond is going to be whether or not there's no contact order. There can be, so
you negotiate that process out.
Not a negotiation.
If you're there?
It's an argument.
An argument in front of the judge.
Correct.
Right.
And you can argue, certain facts. For example, a case I just did a few weeks ago, exact same situation, and it was extremely difficult, but they were a married couple, they had kids, and I was actually able to argue that it was a very, call it a minimal situation that occurred, and I argued that the no contact order wasn't actually necessary.
And the judge bought it?
The judge actually bought it.
If this was the third offense?
We got a minute.
Not in the third offense.
We got a minute left.
Okay.
How do we get to the end of what happens? What do I do? Do I plead to something? I don't want to admit to doing something I didn't do. How do you get me out of this thing? What do you do so that I don't have a record?
Sure.
What do we do?
Well, at this
got
point,
1 minute.
And with 1 minute, there's a couple things that are going to happen. Obviously, if you're a defendant, you didn't do something, then your lawyer's going to have to come up with an argument, go to court, potentially trial. Some of the defenses that we typically see is that the victim is lying, it didn't happen, it was the wrong person, it was self-defense, it was defense of a third party.
So you try the case if you have to?
If you have to, you try the case.
And if not?
If not, there is something really cool. In Michigan, there is a statute that for people who have no criminal record of any kind, meaning you have a clean record, you haven't had any domestic violence issues in the past, you have it's kind of like a get out of free jail card where you'll be put on a term of probation, you take this particular plea, and if you successfully complete the terms of your probation, which will include anger management, fines, community service, counseling, etc., at that point, if you complete your probation, you could walk away with having this as a sealed record.
Bottom line, I got out from what I got out of this. If you're in that situation, walk away.
Or call me.
Or call Corey. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.